Welcome to another Dimensions of Wellbeing by You Define Wellness. I'm Denise O'Malley, the founder of You Define Wellness, and we've put together this series of videos to help explain what these dimensions are. And just to recap, the dimensions are you have physical, emotional, financial, spiritual, social and belonging, intellectual, occupational, and environmental. And they all combine into who we are. You know, we've heard work-life balance. Well, we don't use that phrase at You Define Wellness because work is part of life. And we actually lean towards life harmony. So we are bringing together the experts in the You Define Wellness Network to talk about some of the dimensions of well-being. And it is my pleasure today to introduce you all to Dena Adams, the owner of Seek Defeat Design in Fort Collins, Colorado. And Dena, thank you for doing this with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm excited too, because we're going to be talking about a dimension that we just haven't spent a lot of time about. But before we jump into it, can you just talk a little bit about what is Seek Defeat Design?
Seek Defeat Design is basically what saved me.
Oh.
It was a process that I went through to pull myself out of where I was self-destructive. So I started seeking my inner truth so I could defeat my past, so I could design the future that I desired.
I don't think I've ever heard you explain it that way. Now I understand that your business name, and it makes a lot of sense. And just like so many of the independent health and wellness professionals in our network, you are doing what you're doing because you went through it yourself.
Yes.
And you want to share those gifts with other people so they don't have to struggle.
So they don't have to spend 15 years trying to figure it out like I did. I want to help them streamline that and really shift their life and recognize that no matter how bad it seems, because for me it was really bleak, no matter how bad it seems, what you're going through, what you're facing, there's hope. You're still breathing, there's hope.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and if you guys are hearing a jangling in the background, I apologize. That's just my dog.
That's okay. If you hear snorting, it's my dog. So
it's the beauty of working from home, right? You never know what it's going to be. So I see you falling into the emotional category or dimension of well-being, particularly the area of relationships, either relationships with yourself or relationships with others. But I also see you over in the social belonging as to going through the work that you're working on, you're integrating back into society. So do you want to chat about both of those a little bit?
Sure. One of the things that I really struggled with was a sense of belonging. When I had this reality check, so to speak, in my life, I realized that I had this husband who adored me. I had children who loved me, and I still felt like I didn't belong anywhere. I still felt like my life was awful and horrible, and there was only a matter of time before everything fell apart anyway. So there was, I couldn't wrap my mind around the fact that I had people in my life that truly well, I don't know if appreciate's the right word. Maybe it's that actually loved me, because I didn't understand the word. I didn't understand the emotion. I didn't understand that it was a choice. That love is a choice. To love someone is a choice. And so I really didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And I recognized that I didn't even feel like I belonged inside myself. I was very lost. And my relationship with myself was extremely broken. And therefore, everything in my life seemed broken, no matter how good things really were. It was a reality I had created for myself out of protection.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you here for just a second to say that I don't think that is uncommon. I think there are a lot of people walking this planet who also are wondering, where do they belong? And even when they're surrounded by people who love them and what from the outside looks like a really fulfilled life, on the inside, they don't have that fulfillment.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's a it's and it's a very difficult thing, especially now in the world that we're living in now. I can't imagine what it would be like if I was still in that place
Hmm.
because I was so lost and broken that I didn't feel like the narrative in my head was I have no value, I have no worth, I'm a waste of space, and I don't deserve to breathe the air that I breathe every day.
Oh, wow.
And so, and at this moment in time, our now 20-year-old daughter was 3 months old. I had just, I was just about to become pregnant with our youngest son, and I had two boys, and my husband had a daughter. We weren't even, we had just gotten married. Like, it was this whirlwind of life happening, and I was just living reactively to whatever was going on around me because I wasn't at a place yet that I comprehended that I had the ability to choose things even if it pissed everybody else off. You know, I was very conditioned to adapt to my environment to not upset everybody else, but to my detriment, that meant I was miserable.
Hmm.
And because I was like that, I didn't know how to have a sense of belonging anywhere. And I didn't really know who I was or what I was created to be or anything because I was so focused on always adapting to everybody else.
Hmm.
And my earliest memory of that was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't learn a lot of skills I needed to learn. There was a lot of things that I did in my life that were to protect myself, not knowing that's what it was for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm curious how this impacted the relationships around you.
Um, it sucked the life out of me.
Oh, wow.
I did everything for everybody. I'm gonna get emotional about this. So,
I'm going to get emotional about this.
I did everything for everybody else.
Yeah.
Everything was about saving everybody else because I had to be someone that they wanted around. And if I was doing enough for them, they would want me. They would keep me. And what I recognized was no matter how good I did anything, even if it was exactly what they wanted, out of their brokenness, they couldn't see the good that was coming.
Hmm.
And all it seemed like was everybody was using me to get what they wanted, and then they had no reason for me, and they wouldn't pour back into me.
Hmm.
So I was literally living and giving off of fumes, if I even had fumes left to give. So it was, needless to say, there's a lot of relationships, family or not, that I do not have anymore.
Hmm.
And it was a very hard thing to take back my power, to take back the choice in my life that I was given by being born, right? I have a right to make the choices that are best for me and not feel like I have to do everything because that's what everybody else thinks I should do. Because then the outcome wasn't what they expected, so I must have done something wrong. But just because it's what made them comfortable doesn't mean I should have to be uncomfortable and lie to myself about how I should be.
So how does one start the process of taking their power back?
I would say it's a choice between it's and it's different for everybody. I think it's just being at a place where you're really done with how things are and you're ready to make a change.
Okay. You
You
hit the
have to
bottom of the
want,
barrel. Hmm.
right? You just have to be like, there's
Yeah.
got to be something better.
Hmm.
There's got to be a way I can change it or fix it. It's really a willingness. You just have to want something. You have to yearn for it. You have to have this belief that this isn't all there is.
So how do you work with you're with your clients who are ready to say, I'm willing to learn how to take my power back? How do you work with them?
A lot of passion. I'm a very bold, forward, in your face, but it comes from a place of love and desire for you to achieve greatness. I love celebrating other people. I love seeing their wins. It's not because I helped them. It's just because it honestly has nothing to do with me. It's this joy that I have of helping them uncover their greatness that they can't see yet. And so I do one-on-one work. Everything is personalized to them. Yes, I have tools in my toolbox that I have for them. And sometimes there's things that I haven't created yet, but as going through our process, we realize they need something, I'll create it for them. They will get what they need, because I truly believe that we all have, like, none of us are the same. So none of us are going to recover the same. None of us are going to heal the same. None of us are going to go through the exact same process. Yet there are steps to take to get started to help you figure out what's best for you. And help you uncover and discover what that looks like. And then from there, we do a very individualized journey together.
This sounds like it takes a very long time, because, I mean, we didn't get to where we are overnight, right? So it sounds like it takes a long time. Does it?
Yes. I'm still on it, right? Like,
Okay.
a self-discovery is a journey. And we have a lot of lies that have been told to us, not because other modalities or ways are wrong. They're just not done in the right order. And so you might be going through therapy to work on healing some things, yet you need the self-discovery piece, which is the step right after therapy, before you get into the personal development, which is the next level, before you get into, you know, and so it's a progression. And if we're not doing things in the best way for ourselves, and we're missing a key piece, we can do all the things we want and still feel like there's this piece that's missing. I've worked with clients where, yes, I can do one-off sessions for 60 minutes or an hour. I've had people who've worked with me for 3 months and go, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I need another 6. I'm like, we see each other every week. And it is because they're like, I didn't realize it was going to take me so long to do the exercise that I have to do. And here we are 2 weeks out, and I still haven't been able to fully implement it in my life. Because, see, it's not about consuming information. It's about learning a skill or a tool to apply in your life and then put it to work. Because you don't get change by reading. You get change by reading something, applying wisdom to the knowledge, and then putting that knowledge and wisdom into action.
I love that.
So people say knowledge is power, but it's actionable knowledge plus wisdom is where you get the results. And unfortunately, in the world we live in, a lot of people are stuck on cruise control and live very passively and reactively, so they're not intentionally making changes in their life that are going to get them where they want to go.
Well, I love that you shared all that, because I think it's right. I mean, the book learning, yeah, it's great to get knowledge. That's fantastic. But when you're talking about changing something in your life, you actually have to do it. I mean, you can read about healthy cookbooks all you want, all these wonderful healthy recipes. But if you're still going to McDonald's, you're going to have the same results going on. So this is wonderful in that you are guiding them through the application of it and helping them through it.
And I think it's important to understand moderation too, because I know a lot of people use that analogy of eating. And in our household, we have learned that everything is okay in moderation.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a matter of what does that look like for you? What works for one person isn't going to work for somebody else, because we're made up differently. Our DNA is different. And so I think we have to recognize we can't look at everybody else's highlight reels on social media and compare that to our step one when they're at harvest and we're at seeding the ground. We can't compare the two. And so we have to really step back from believing that, well, we're not where they are. Well, we don't know their story. And I guarantee you, if you knew every little step along the way, you wouldn't be willing to walk all of those things to get what they have. And as long as you're looking at what other people have achieved, you're missing out on what you can become. And so it's really about helping people reel themselves back in and honor who they are and what uniqueness they have inside of them.
Right. You also said that you're a work in progress and that you're not complete. You absolutely are an expert in what you're doing, but the whole point of it is that we are constantly applying these lessons and making course corrections when we need to, because sometimes we do get in a rut, or we know what we should do intellectually, but we don't necessarily practice it, and it's a conscious choice not to practice it. So you're letting everyone know that, okay, yeah, I'm here to help you, but I'm also working on me all the time too.
I think it's important to remember that we're always experiencing something every second of every day. And just because we have overcome something or healed from something doesn't mean there's not another level of knowledge that we can gain from that if it comes up for us again. A lot of people will go, I already dealt with that, I'm not going to do it anymore. Yet you're missing a deeper level of knowledge, of lessons that you can learn from that experience to take with you forward. And if you're experiencing something that's traumatic in your life now, you're going to have to now work through that as well. And we can't believe that our present is not also creating things that we're going to have to work on later. So I believe that self-discovery is a lifelong journey. So as long as I'm breathing, I will be working on self-discovery, because I'm never going to arrive at this place that people believe they can arrive out of perfection. I'm always progressing.
Yes. So step one is identification of the fact that life has to be more than what we're doing right now. What's step two?
Step two would be, this is a hard one. You have to be willing to go through the hard.
Okay.
And the hard, I have a long list of hards that you go through, because when you start changing, one of the hardest ones is recognizing people will leave your life because they're not growing with you, or they're not meant to be in that season when you're growing. They have another season they have to go through. So people have to be willing to let go of what is trying to leave their life to make room for what is coming.
And then step three is finding the right person to help guide you through the process, it sounds like.
Yes.
And that's definitely you. Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So this is a good place to transition now towards the end. And I always like to give my guests the opportunity to add anything that we didn't cover that you thought of before we started that you wanted to make sure we covered.
I think the most important thing to remember is that you matter. If you are breathing, you are living, you matter, your story matters, and what you've gone through, I just don't want people to devalue, don't devalue what you've been through because it's not as bad as somebody else's, because it's bad for you or it's great for you. Whatever your experiences are, own them completely, and just know that you matter. You impact people every day with what you are doing, whether it's intentional or not. So know that you matter. You have a purpose. Your story needs to be heard, and you deserve to invest in yourself and to pour into yourself to be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Well, everyone, that's wise words coming from Dena Adams, the owner of Seek Defeat Design. The next screen here, you will see her contact information. I encourage you to reach out to her. She does work with people by Zoom, by phone, so you don't have to be in Fort Collins, Colorado to work with her. And with that being said, we thank you for joining us for this Dimensions of Wellbeing, and we hope to see you on our next one.